Zelensky, I
It's
think.
yes. I just wanted to highlight this page on the BBC website because John Simpson interviewed Zelensky, and apparently Zelensky struck all the right notes. Brian, he's a quiet, charming, unassuming man. So let's have a look and see what they said in that report. Zelensky is a quiet, charming, and unassuming man. He's famously an actor by profession and played the part of the president of Ukraine on television long before he was elected to the actual job. Maybe, of course, the quiet charm and apparent lack of assumption are part of the act. You'd need to know him a great deal better to be able to be sure about that. My guess is not, though. Yes. So clearly, this is a puff piece, as you might say. A few days ago, though, he got something wrong, says John Simpson, and seemed to be calling for a preemptive strike to stop Russia using its battlefield nuclear weapons, relatively small yield bombs that would have an appalling effect locally, but would be fairly limited in the damage they did over a wider area. Zelensky's words weren't well chosen, and they handed Moscow an easy win, but only for a few hours, Brian. Don't worry about it. It was an easy win, only for a few hours. When I interviewed him, says John Simpson, he was sufficiently anxious to dampen down the criticism by making his defense in English. He meant, he said, preemptive sanctions, which the West should impose on Russia to dissuade President Putin and his generals from opening up Europe's first nuclear war.
Just brilliant piece of journalism by the BBC that to suggest that Zelensky would get sanctions and nuclear weapons confused. But of course, he's a wonderful man. He is an actor, and that's absolutely right, because that's what he does best, is acts one thing while he does something completely different. But the BBC attempting to downplay a call to use nuclear weapons,
yes,
just unbelievable.
It gets better because this is how they ended it. I wondered if this very public refusal to consider negotiating with Vladimir Putin was a signal to other Russian political leaders that if they wanted to end the war, they would have to push Putin aside. After speaking to him about it, I decided not. He doesn't seem to have the slightest interest in Putin as a person and has no respect whatever for him as a war leader who micromanages the fighting in angry calls with his generals. So again, apologizing for the fact that Ukraine will not consider any kind of negotiations at this stage.
Yeah.
And when that's exactly what's needed.
And we're getting a little bit more information there. Micromanages the fighting in angry calls to his generals. This is down to the root of it. And this is why there's been so many disasters on the Ukrainian battlefield, because Zelensky's constantly got his finger in the pie.
I know what they're talking about, but he's talking about Putin micromanaging.
Oh, Putin. Oh,
yes.
Okay. All right. My apologies. I read that one completely wrong, but it's difficult to know with the BBC. I'll stand by my comments that Zelensky is himself micromanaging, because this is something that's been reported, and of course is giving the US and UK European special forces who are in Ukraine problems in how to conduct the battle. So it's pot and kettle on this one, I think.
Okay.